Hello and welcome back to
On Hold with Lulu and
Hello
Rowan.
and welcome back.
Please hold.
Hello,
On hold.
welcome back. Hello and welcome back.
Please hold. On Hold with Lulu and Rowan.
Hello, welcome back. Hello, welcome back. Hello, welcome back. Hello, how are you?
Hi, how
Hello.
are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. You, at least you have tea. I forgot to pour water, but anyway, at least you have yourself some tea.
I'm accepting it's winter. I'm accepting it's winter. Skaba in dialysis. Winter. Mare.
So welcome, girl. Welcome to On Hold. We've been here a year and a half now, almost. So thank you so much for taking your time out of your evening to be here. Now I hyped up this whole thing because I believe in it so much about mindfulness. So that's why you're here. But tell us maybe as an intro and maybe as people are just joining, a little bit about yourself. Mphata, where do you come from? Where do you find this mindfulness situation? Letlhakanakai.
Okay. My name is Mphata Makakase. I am from Limpopo. I grew up in the Boahomo, home girl.
Yes.
So I'm a Limpopo girl, and I am the CEO of Relay Institute, which is a monitoring and evaluation institute, project management organization that is based in Limpopo, but we're doing projects in the country and also projects outside the country. And we also a co-founder of an institution called Mindful Bootcamps. The reason we started Mindful Bootcamp is during COVID. When COVID started, a lot of things happened, and we were all home locked. And I came across online classes, and I've been doing a lot of counseling, a lot of coaching, a lot of motivation, mentorship. Then I came across neurolinguistic, and I'm like, wow, because I've always been intrigued on how the mind is wired. I've always been intrigued of the different connection between the mind and the brain. And in my years of experience as a motivator, I've always invested myself in studying and doing a lot of work into what formulate what we call you. And I've always worked around creating people as brands. You would think brands are only well-known brands, but with people that went through my mentorship programs, coaching programs, they know that we've always worked around creating an individual as a brand, because the moment you see yourself as a brand, then you have principles as a brand. Then you have colors as a brand. You have things that you believe as a brand. Now, those are the things that we look for, and that was then. And we invested a lot of time in doing what we call personal branding development. But when I came across neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, I found it that they were actually putting it into more of a perspective, because that's when I really went into studying psychology. Then I went into unpacking and studying the mind. And then I had to get to a point where in the last year where I'm supposed to specialize. You could either specialize, you can be a neuro-linguistic practitioner, but maybe specializes in nutrition, or specializes in finance, or specializes in culture. But my specialty, it's around the mind. And this is where mindful boot camps have been birthed, because I've studied a lot around mind, and I've followed a lot of neuroscientists and all that. And during the time of COVID, this is where I started having one-on-one sessions with a lot of people that are going through challenges based on the fact that we are going through COVID as a country. So Yeah, that's a nutshell. More funny.
So you're saying when we were baking, um, lockdown, you were busy taking classes.
I was taking classes, and it was an online class. I was taking classes. I was reading. I was doing all those things. And to be honest, it actually did assist me during the time because my entire concentration went into studying something that I actually love. Because I'm a
Yeah.
development practitioner. My first qualification in engineering, and I'm a researcher by profession. But this is something that is not necessarily a career. You know, when they say you're called to do a thing, it becomes
Mm,
effortless. And when you're studying, you enjoy, because it sort of resonates with who you are. And I found that when I was
mm,
studying, and I was like, if I knew this when I was studying, I think maybe getting a PhD on maybe in electronic engineering, because perhaps I would have studied something that I love. And I mean, I'm realizing that, when you do career, you have to do career that is aligned
mm,
to my personality, career that is aligned to who I am print. So yeah, when
mm.
you guys were baking, I was unpacking your mind. Mm.
I baked, okay? So no judgment. I baked. I
You
tried
bake.
to cook, but
No, I'm not
too
judging you.
much. So I baked.
Mm.
When lockdown ended, I stopped. So I haven't baked since.
No, you should have continued. Maybe Honali Bakery somewhere there in the pipeline. So
Yeah, maybe
should
at
have
old
continued
age.
because I think, yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
It's doable.
So I see we do have people, guys. Please say hello, hello, and please welcome Mphata to Arnold, especially if you've been here before or you're part of the family. We have a guest, and when we have a guest, please just say hi so I can also see who's here. So, what is mindfulness? I think when we spoke, I had said that I've recently also started studying. And last week we had classes, and in my class we were dealing with developing self. And there's literature that we needed to read around mindfulness and how mindfulness is impactful in leadership. But firstly, we have to
Yeah.
do like introspection. Before you go and lead people and do things, you have to do your internal work first. Like, who are you? Do you even practice mindfulness? Do you understand what it is?
Yeah.
Do you understand how to use it to your advantage in your
Mm-hmm.
leadership style or role or in your personal life? And I think
Mm.
we did some exercises and we spoke and we were crying.
Oh.
So I was like, ish, there is an impact and there is a thing to this because we are so, I don't know what we are, but maybe for you to somebody that doesn't know what it is about because it sounds so airy fairy. I think also there was a point about mindfulness being almost, based on religion, like Buddhism and
Mm.
all that. People do that, and
Yeah.
and also the impact of saying, okay, is this about yoga? But that whole thing.
Mm. Mm.
I
Mm.
know it's a
Mm.
big subject, but how can you explain it?
Okay. Thank you. And I love also the fact that you also touched a little bit on religion, and how people misunderstand when we talk about mindfulness. They'll think it's yoga, it's Buddha, it's all this Zen and all that. But you see,
Yeah,
before
because people think
we
we are
went,
trying to say
yeah,
and all about
yeah,
that.
yeah, and then stretching and sitting in different,
Yeah,
ways and all that.
yes.
Yeah, but before we actually go and talk about what is mindfulness, our company, we are what we call ourselves neuro linguistic programming practitioner. Neuro, meaning neuro linguistic language programming, like you're programming in the computer. So what happens is, in our field of work, we're not psychologists. We're life coaches. So you don't come to us and then we diagnose you. You come to us. A lot of time that we do is we want you to get to a point where we introduce you to you. And that's our
Mm,
recipe. So by the time you are done with we'll be doing with you, we take you to a place where we're saying, now, are you ready to meet Lindiwe? And then you get to meet Lindiwe. Let me explain before we unpack what mindfulness is. One of the key things that we do is we teach. And in our classes, we start on basics to say, what is a mind? Is there a difference between a mind and a brain? Right? And there's a huge difference. A brain is an organ, but a mind it uses what we call electromagnetic field. And neuroscience have come to a conclusion after so many research done that a human being, it's 99.99 mind, and the 0.5 or 1% is your physiology. It's your brain, which is an organ. It's your eyes, it's your nose, it's your mouth, it's your heart. It's everything that you're seeing. It's the frame. You know, it's your drop. That's the 1%. And the 99% it is a mind. Okay, and scientists have said when we're saying it is a mind, is a mind that been formed. The mind called their linguistics was formed. The second linguist was a concept. When we look at a mind, you would have your conscious mind, and then you have your subconscious mind, and then you have your non-conscious mind. Your conscious mind goes to sleep. We're using the conscious mind right now. The subconscious mind is like a channel that is being used between the conscious mind and the non-conscious mind. Now, the non-conscious mind is one of the most powerful mind that we have, because in the non-conscious mind we call a reservoir. Now, that reservoir, it's like your bank. It stores thoughts, it stores memories, events, occasion, emotions, stories, everything that happened the moment you were conceived. Do you understand what I'm saying? The moment.
Yeah.
Meaning, if we take you to a process, we can take you to a process where you would even remember conversations that were heard when you were formulated in your mother's womb, that your mom and dad heard. Right?
Okay.
Now, this is where. Okay, don't go there. I don't want you to go there. So now, that is stored in the non-conscious mind. Okay, and then what happens is that a lot of things are stored in what we would call a reservoir, and it doesn't your non-conscious mind. Your subconscious mind can go to sleep. Your conscious mind goes to sleep, but your non-conscious is 24/7. That is why sometimes you have what you would call a sleep paralysis. Right? You feel like you're awake. It feels like you're awake. It feels real. But it's like you can communicate. At that time, you're operating highly on your non-conscious mind. Okay, now it's a very powerful mind, because that's where it stores everything, the blueprint that's got to do with Lindy. That's where your emotions are. That's where someone will say to you, I got triggered. Okay, but where does the trigger come from? Does it come from the conscious mind? No. It was just challenged through the subconscious mind. So what would happen is, let me give you an example. I will say to you, Ish, I have a funeral. Please accompany me. And then you come on the funeral. When we get to the funeral, you start crying. And all of a sudden you cry. Why? Because
I wonder.
It was a trigger. Yes, a trigger is what opens the conscious mind. The reservoir within the conscious mind, where it goes in, and then it goes and picks that emotion and pick that memory and relive it as if it's happening right now. And then you find yourself crying because it took you back to a particular memory. And then you get to that probably it was not resolved or whatever, and then you find yourself emotional, you find yourself crying. Even though because you went non-conscious mind, and then the rest was open. That emotion was picked up, and then it get relieved. Okay, give you another example. I'm sure they'll be saying bravo. Okay, you have a couple, they go to a cultural event, and then me one that they probably will say something, and even when they get home, the wife is angry, the wife is crying. Your aunt did this and this and this and this. And then when the husband is trying to talk, then the wife will say, I remember when God married into your family in 1987, and start crying as if it just happened a second ago. Do you know what would just happen at that moment? She went into the non-conscious mind, and then there was a trigger. A trigger is like a lift that opens up the reservoir and picks up an emotion, and then you relive the emotion as if it just happened. Okay? I just wanted you to understand that. You would find people, we are getting into the mindfulness. You get people, for example, that they get into relationship based on child trauma.
Okay.
Unresolved child trauma. You grew up, Mphata, I grew up, every time I would get attention or I would get praised, maybe or maybe do something. Then I meet someone else in my adult when I'm ready to date. And that person pamper me with attention, pamper me saying you did well. Then you end up falling in love. But remember, you're not falling in love with the person, but you're falling in love with what that person is providing you, which is part of your childhood trauma, because you never received attention purely. Every time you received a clapping hand, intention, when you have done what? You've washed the dishes. Therefore, your foundation for a relationship with that person is based on that trauma. So it becomes a child trauma response. All right? And that is why when that person heals, they check out, because anyone who goes to the hospital, you check when you're fine. And those are the things. Now, what we do in mindfulness is we run the boot camps. In our boot camps, a lot of boot camps, it could be right, or is a physical boot camp, or you go gym, the courage, the carrot, that's on the physical, the 1%. Remember, I said you are 99.99 white mind, meaning the way I talk, it's in the mind. My personality, it's in the mind. My habit, it's in the mind. My character, it's in the mind. You want a blueprint of who I am, you have to read my mind. And that will be from the day I was conceived, because I live out that which is in my mind. That is why if you are a Christian, the Bible will use something like renew your mind. Like the renewal of the mind. It's actually quite key. Now, when we do full boot camp, is first and foremost, we teach you about the mind so that you understand the concept, the mind. Because the moment I understand what is mind and where are anxieties, where are thoughts, why do I react to this? Why do I respond to this? Why do I have fear of falling? And I don't understand that the fear of heights. Why do I have all those things? So we take you through a process where we teach you about the mind. And then after that, we go through a process, in other sessions where we do decluttering. Remember, it's a reservoir. It keeps on piling up on emotions. And then I make you angry, you don't say anything, it goes to the reservoir. You are happy, it goes to the reservoir. So it keeps on piling up. That is, person will get to a point where they say, I can't take it anymore. It's way too much. Right? Because what age you go reservoir? What age? Right? So we take you through a process where we We help you do spring cleaning of your mind. We help you pick up certain memories, pick up certain tendencies, make you see why do you do the things you do the way you do them? Do you even understand why? And then we take you through that process so that you're able to look at it and look at the graph, the up and down, and be able to say, aha, now I see why do I respond to this emotion this way? Why do I do things this way? And we help you declutter. That's one of the things that we do. You attended our
Okay.
Friday sessions, our online mindful bootcamp.
Hmm.
We also teach you how to read your mind. And this is where you were saying your Buddha, your Zen, your blah 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 blah, which is not even religious because it's when I relax my mind, it's like I'm feeding my mind. So that's what actually happens in the mindful. And one of the things that we also do is we incorporate nature because when we are in mindfulness, you see this thing called a phone. It uses
Yeah.
vibrations, which uses electronics, which affect the landscape of our mind. So if it's here, it keeps on saying, brr, brr. Even it doesn't make sound, but the fact that it's here, it's on, it uses waves, it uses electromagnetic waves. And therefore, because my mind is also an energy, I get disturbed because there's traffic. I'm feeling it. There's a traffic. It's the cell phone, it's my mind, it's everything that's happening. So my mind is exhausted. So what we also do is that we incorporated nature. We go to nature guides, we take you in the field, you walk, the moment you walk, you the breeze, you look at the trees, you hear your marching. I want a cell phone, network, you walk, and then we're talking nature, something unrelated. By the time we come back, you have relaxed. So that's in a nutshell what we do in a mindful bootcamp. We also work with teenagers also, but we'll talk about teenagers as the time goes on.
So that's very interesting, actually. That's very, very interesting. I'm thinking sometimes we walk, but we walk with our earphones and our music, so that defeats the whole purpose. But there's a question: how do you then
Yes.
recover from subconscious triggers so it doesn't come back to haunt you? So someone else asking the question.
Maybe let's not. Okay. Maybe let's not use the word recover because the moment you say
Okay.
recover, it seems as if you were sick or something. But
Okay.
one of the things I said is we do decluttering. So what we do is that we take you through a backward process. They're saying you can only connect the dots backward. And when you connect
Okay.
the dot backwards, they make sense. So what we do in a declutter is we take you back, we go into a process with you. Lindy, why do you feel the way you feel? Then you explain. Why is it happening that way? What happened? Then we take you through a process of going back. And sometimes we can make you relive the moment and then we unpack it. Do you cry? What does it mean when this happened and then you find yourself crying? Then we take you back through that. And then we make you then discuss that and now. Do you need to be crying about it every time when we go back to that process? No, I don't want to. Now, can we unpack it? That's what we do. It's not really healing, but it's making you understand. Because if we're saying we're healing, you're gonna go into something else that is similar. So, but when we take you through a process, remember I said we do a lot of teaching and coaching. When we do that is we unpack emotions, we unpack triggers, we unpack personalities, we unpack characters, we unpack events, we unpack emotions so that you're able to understand it perfectly. So
Okay, I hope that answers, but let us know if there's another question. I hope that answers. I get it. And I think it's very interesting to understand. I mean, I don't think I've understood the bank like you're putting it the way it is, but it makes sense that there's because sometimes you feel things you don't even know where they come from. You don't even remember living or feeling, but then you realize that you are feeling or you are experiencing that, but you don't know when. And like you're saying, it could be something that it's a bank that starts building up from when you're in the womb. You don't even remember the voice, but you don't even know it like in your today life, but it's stuff that
Yes.
already happens. And they keep on triggering you, or
Yes.
you kind of like live saying, I'm like this, I'm just like this, I was born like that, I've been like this forever in my life.
Mm,
But what you say is, but you don't know why you are
mm,
like that. You haven't even investigated why that is the way it is. So that's the way the bank
yes.
comes in.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So there's another question.
Yes.
How do I
Yes.
heal
Yes.
the heart
That's the
after healing and clearing the mind? Remember, we cannot just be mindful, we also need to be heartful as well. Does the question make sense?
you cut a bit there. If you could just repeat the question, how do we?
How do I heal the heart after healing and clearing the mind?
Okay. Now, when we go, remember a process of mindful. When we saying we are in a mindful session, basically mindful, it's all about being aware of the mind, and I'm aware of my surrounding. I'm aware of the pictures around me. I'm aware of my language. I'm aware of my emotions. I'm aware of my breath. I'm aware of my heartbeat. I'm aware of how you make me feel, and that's being aware, right? When you go through the process of healing, and now that you are healed, we edge to most of our clients that consistency is currency. Now, if we took you through a process of healing and we're saying, let's exercise this, the moment you are consistent in it, then it becomes a lifestyle. You do know that it takes almost 27 days to form a habit. So if you're
Mm,
practicing the mindful exercises and patterns and any other thing that we are saying you must practice for the next 27 days, then a habit is formed. And after a habit is formed, then you're starting to do it consistently. Then it becomes a character. Then it's going to take another 36 days for a character to formulate and forms itself in you. And then it becomes a character, it becomes who you are. And once you are there, then you graduate for it becomes a personality. And this is very interesting. The moment you start to become a personality, it even rewire your genes, that you start rewiring and rechanging your mental capacity. Owner itumile guy from a habit, but
mm,
this is a good habit. And
mm.
then you're practicing it for 27 days, then you leave it, it becomes a character, then you're graduating it, it becomes a personality, then you start to rewire your genealogy, your personality and your genes. Now you look at certain things that we take it for granted, right? Like I was looking at my firstborn daughter. Her when she's sitting down, she does her feet like this, and I do it. But I would ask myself, why does she? Why are Akwala di toes she won't even explain it to you. Why Akwala di toes But now I went and I asked her why was I doing that? And there was a story around Hore, we're in my house, and then Nohona Lidigazi, they will come and start licking my toes. So every time I'll do it, I'll start closing my toes, 27 days. A habit was formed. Took time, character was formed, personality was formed. It affected my genes. Therefore, my child comes out at all. So she can't explain it and she didn't go through what I went. And again, she doesn't understand. And this is how you rewire or you wire your genes and your knowledge.
Yeah, and it needs
Makes sense?
consistency, I guess. Yeah, it does, but I'm just saying it needs
Absolutely.
consistency. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Pata?
I hear you clearly. I hear you clearly.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just saying that's why it takes so long. I mean, how many days is it collectively? From 29 days to what?
Let's say 27. You, you mean the mindful boot camp?
No, to change
We
the
can do
habit,
for 3 days.
to change up
We
until
do
where you
no 3
change
days.
your genes, that process. Just the
It
consistency.
depends on
How
an
long is it?
it depends on it depends on an individual. It depends on an individual. Some people just after 63 days, it's done. It's
Oh,
done. It can change. Remember, it can change for the best. It can change for the worst. Right? You remember we're talking habits that forms. Some of the habit is you find this guy that he struggles with lust, and he can't explain to himself, why do I struggle with lust? Why do I have wandering eyes? Okay, but when you go into the family tree genes, you find that his great grandfather, we one account my ladies, it was a ladies' man, and you see what it did. It affected the genes. Then you find yourself doing a thing that you yourself you can't even explain, why do I do that? So what happens is that once you realize that this looks like it's something that goes there, but I want to change it so that I can change my generations to come, because we can change our generations. We can change how we think. We can change how we do things. Now you go into the process of decluttering, you go into the process of picking up that particular habit, and then you become consistent on a thing. 27 days, you practice what you're saying you practice, then it becomes a character, a personality, then you change. But here's the thing: the moment is a personality, it's who you are. And there's no going back. That's just who you are, and you have transformed. It's a process of transformation. This new person, and even how you see is different.
I guess that answers the question, how long does the decluttering process or healing take? Will it take more than one session? I think in your boot camp, I guess you have answered that by saying a person also needs to continue with the process and the exercises that are given, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. And there's a question. It says, some of us have mastered blocking emotions and just leaving things as they are. Question is, how do I then overcome all the pain of the past, clearing my mind from all the backlog from the past?
Okay. She's talking about emotions. What we do again. Remember, one of the key thing I mentioned was you can only connect the dots backwards. We're going to go into a process of saying you had this emotional trauma. Why is it painful to you? Why was it painful? And how did you find yourself in that kind of a space? Okay. And then we take you through that process. We start to pack it, we start to say, okay, this and that, this and that. And then so that the main reason we are doing that, remember, we teach, is so that you don't find yourself in the same web again. For an example, you would have a female that says, I've been divorced, I've been married, I'm divorced. Okay. But when you look at their current partner, different body shape of a person, but same character. And there's a reason why maybe this person divorced their previous partner, maybe their previous partner was emotionally abusive, and blah, 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 blah. And then move to this one, different body, different name and everything, but same character, same personality. And how now now we are starting to do what? To map out what is it that you're looking for? Why do you continuously find yourself attracting this kind of emotions, even though, or this kind of a personality, even though it's embodied in different structures? And then when we go back, now we realize that, for an example, it's a childhood trauma. The only way for you, when you were introduced to love, or you felt love, was probably from someone else who abused you. That's when love or affection was introduced to you. And this is where we start to unpack it so that we make you understand it wasn't supposed to happen that way, right? You were not supposed to feel affectionate through that process. We are teaching you that. And what are we doing? We're also making you understand. We start unpacking it. And then we also take you through to a process of asking you, how do you prefer to be loved? Do you even know what is love? When you say you are going to be in a relationship, exactly what is it that you're looking for from your counterpart? Are you receiving it? Are you giving it? Do you even know how to love? Do you know how to receive the love? You know, one person says, if you feed a child, if you don't feed a child love with a silver spoon, the child will learn to eat love using a knife. It will cut because they don't know how to eat using a spoon. Now they'll use a to eat, you know, to receive love. But we go into that process, and what are we doing? We're rewiring. We're making you understand why were you going through that emotional pain? Why is it even painful? What makes, how do you feel when you say it's painful? What do you feel? Where do you feel it? You feel it physical hurt? Have you felt this way before? We're taking you through, we could rewire the whole process. I'm not sure if I'm answering her.
Let's see. Okay, please tell us if you answered. I think the trick is that you need to go into the emotions, because I think she's saying she's already mastered. I think this one is like me, master blocking the emotions, and you just probably operate on your logic most of your time. So I think that's what, if you leave, I guess what you're saying is you have to go into the emotions and into what had happened for you to be able to block that. So where did it all start? Because you can't still keep the emotions in. If I think about what you're saying in the bank, it will always just trigger all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
So how do you
The key
consciously
thing
work?
is
So another question is, how do you
how do I
consciously
consciously
work
work?
on avoiding triggers?
You don't avoid them, you face them. Because
Can't you run away from them? Can't you feel them coming?
no, no, you can see them coming. You don't avoid them. You face them because they are your triggers. And then what something came over me. Right? So when we have then done work on, you're not going to be saying things like something came over me. You're going to see it coming, and you know it is coming, and you know what's going to come when it comes. You know how you're going to be when it comes. So what we do is that you don't avoid it, you deal with it. You know that it's coming. And if it's coming, it means that thing is still in the reservoir, as it is. And it's not, remember, we declutter, we do a spring cleaning. By the time we are done with you, it should not be an issue anymore. So if it's still an issue, it means we are still in a process working with you on it, and you're still working on it. So hence we are saying you face it, so that if it happens again, your emotion and how you receive it, it becomes different. So we teach you to face it. You don't avoid it, because avoidance is a coping mechanism. You're coping, you don't want to face it. It hurts you. You don't want to feel the hurt. And it is normal for human being to be hurt. It is normal for human being to be in pain. But the key thing is, how do I deal with pain? How do I respond to pain? And how does the pain make me feel? So if it's still an issue, then it's still a trigger. And it means we have not dealt with it. That means you're still in a process.
I just wonder, why do we want to avoid our triggers? Why would it be a thing? Is it because it's too painful? Or maybe it's because it doesn't have maybe people like you to guide. I mean, that trigger doesn't have people like you to help guide through it, you know? I think I'm just intrigued by that question, but not that maybe you do know why some people kind of like want to avoid it and not want to deal with it.
A lot of people avoid it because they know. If I'm triggered, how am I going to be like?
Okay.
Either I'm going to feel pain, either I'm going to cry, either ke lo thoma dintwa. Namile I can if we have weddings or events at home,
Okay.
we know there's this cousin, there's this aunt who would beat this person because it was, someone triggered that person. So usually what we are saying is people, the reason they avoid it is a coping mechanism because they don't want what happens, is because they have not dealt with the issue. Hence, we take you through the process of dealing with the issue so you don't find yourself in the same spot over and over again. Remember, a human being is wired for love. And every time you are in a loving environment, you blossom, you produce more. But every time you are not in a loving environment, you're in an environment that releases pain, it's toxic to your mind, and therefore you shrink, and this is anxieties, depression, and any other thing that comes. And when it comes, unfortunately, it even manifests into diseases in your body. You have a heart attack, you have anxiety, you stop breathing, you have cancer, and all those kind of things, because your mind can flourish and function in constructive in a situation. This is where we have to declutter the reservoir, so that in the reservoir, the dominating memories and the dominating thoughts are good thoughts, thoughts that of a loving activities and a loving memories. So because if you are like that, therefore you blossom, you even see things differently. When you see a person who is in love, you can even lose weight just because you are in love. You are glower. You can even enroll a course. You're going to knock it out, got the distinctions, right? What love does, it makes you blossom. And a human being, you're wired to be in love. That is why even in jail, when they want to punish you, they put you in a solitary confinement. Why? Because you're alone. That means, where do we get love? Connections, relationships are important. We coexist. It's an ecosystem. I need you, you need me. That is why when you do something to me that hurts me, it can even take me to a depression. Because for me, I need to receive love from another human being. And yeah.
There's a question. I also have a question. Okay, let's ask this one first. I once tried therapy and meditating in one of, I think this is your boot camps, but it triggered panic attacks because I was so used to blocking everything that hurt me. So I get triggered and started having panic attacks for a few days until I stopped going to the therapy. So does that say that like I have depression, or maybe there is something wrong with me?
No, you don't have a depression, and I like the fact that she went into therapy, which is something different that I don't practice. I'm not a psychologist, but she's mentioning trigger. Now it takes us back to what, to the reservoir. So it means every time she goes into an anxiety mode, it means there are still issues in the reservoir, and some of the issues, they're so sensitive that it takes a certain type of a skill as a coach to be able to unpack it and then deal with it, because those are sensitive issues. And sometimes you go into a meditation. The reason we do meditation is to quiet and relaxes the mind, not necessarily to take you into a panic mode. But the reason we do meditation, it's more on mind relaxation, because if my mind is relaxed, then I'm easy. And I shouldn't be in a panic mode when I'm meditating, because meditation is an exercise of relaxing the mind and the body. So if relaxation takes you to to an anxiety. It means, the reservoir, it's open maybe at that time, or maybe the setting, there's a trigger, maybe it's a chair or the sun or something that is triggering you during that process. Yeah.
So how does she
So
move through this? What needs to happen? Because I'm
she needs to
understanding that the
continue with
trigger is
therapy,
still help.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're saying she needs to continue with
She needs to
therapy?
continue with therapy with her therapist, but maybe in the meantime, yes, she needs to continue with therapy. She a lot of it. She still needs to continue with therapy, and then they'll gradually introduce meditation, mindfulness thinking, mindfulness walking, gradually, so that they get a recipe, a formula that works for her mind relaxation. Because not everything works the same way to almost everybody. But she needs to continue with therapy, and maybe her therapist would also try and use other meditation methods so that she could find a method that relaxes her mind and her body, so that they could be able to work on issues that when she's on a conscious state, they can't deal with it.
Okay. All right. I hope you have an answer there, Emilia. Okay, now I forgot my question. I'm so touched by this question. Okay, but what I wanted to ask was, as a person, what are those things that or flags that will tell you that it's too much now? You need to do something about it, because most of the time we go on and our body takes it for a while. Maybe, I don't know, is it health wise? But what are some of those flags that will show a person that, listen, it's enough. You will break now.
Some of the red flags is an inability to sleep, because remember, when you sleep, that's when you rest. Some people, they go into a panic mode. Some people, they don't even bath. Like, nothing is exciting to them anymore, right? But also, some people, it's looking at your thought pattern. You would find yourself sitting, and then all what you're thinking is negative thoughts. You are even selective in your mind. You go into your reservoir, you pick the negative one only, and then you start drooling on them. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you see, I remember in 1987, in 2000. You start doing all that. That's when you need to realize, okay, this is a red flag. This is an alarm. Why am I doing that? And you must know, the moment you do that, your body, you can even get sick, and nothing come out. Remember, it's been discovered recently that the greatest law is not even the law of attraction, but is the law of vibration, manifestation. What I think, I vibrate it out, I release it out, therefore it becomes my reality. If I concentrate more negative thoughts, watch it. It's vibration, and therefore I'm manifesting. Now everything around me, it's negative. So you check that, and then you're realizing that, okay, something is wrong, and then you need to pause. And what we do in our mindful boot camps, we teach you what to do at that point. We teach you how to channel your energy. Remember, a human being is an energy. So an energy, you can feel it, right? There are certain people that can walk in a room, you've never met them, you've never seen them, you've never spoken to them, but somehow the person walks in the room, you feel, I don't like this person. I don't know, there's just something about her that doesn't resonate with me. This person you haven't spoken, but it's an energy. An energy walks in a room and you are an energy, and then there's a friction of the two energies, and when you go and unpack it, you realize that maybe the shape of a person, it's an energy of a childhood trauma. That person maybe has a certain body that looks like Rakgadi wa gago and you're not aware, but a human being is energy. So energy, we're trying to know what's happening around us. Because what's happening around us, it's also energy. If I walk in a room, I know you, you're my friend, we chill together, but I'm sad, I'm depressed. You're going to feel depressed. bringing the energy into the room. So one of the key things that we also do in mindful boot camps is watch the energy. Be mindful of the energy that you bring yourself into, because I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for this energy. In the olden days, what old people used to do, and we tend not to even understand why they did that. This is where you see the wiseness of African people. When a child is born, they'll say, no, a child, no one must come into the room for 6 weeks with a child, the room of a child. What they will even say, in my language, they'll say, like, something like, in English is going to sound very, because it will be your entering. Right? Yo, says the English.
We get it. You are entering and you're bringing others.
Yeah, you shouldn't enter. You are entering. You see. So
Yes.
what old people they'll say is, for the next coming 6 weeks, no one comes in. Right? You know what they were doing? They were preserving the energy, because there's a new energy. The reservoir is clean. Okay. Now we take a child here, but I walk into the room of a newborn baby with my energy, a toxic energy. And then all of a sudden I even come, people will be talking and say, yeah, hey, the head, man. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's father's head. We know it's a girl, but hey, the head. Then you grow up and you already have issues with the head. You don't know where. It is when you were 2 days old. The head issue, the head topic started there by, that old lady who came in. But this energy, they're carrying, they could even speak out, or they bring an energy, and sometimes even a child can get sick because someone else came in and then they left. Now they preserved the energy of a child for 6 weeks. And that is why you would even see, if you can spend, let's say, a month in a house, you're not going out. The moment you decide to go to town, you even have headache. You get sick. You're
No, that was
uncomfortable.
me.
Because,
That's me.
yeah, because of the so many energies that you're meeting outside, because you were here, you no filter into your energy. It was this energy. Now you're coming out, there's just so many energies of human beings, of cell phones, of towers, like hobbies. It's busy, and that thing, it's going through your mind. Unfortunately, your mind is busy 24/7. It's an energy. There are also other energies, and then you go out there, all of a sudden you have a headache, and you can't understand why, because you're an
Let
energy.
me let me tell you, my lockdown, I think when people were stressing, I was at my peak. When you say you were studying, I was at my peak. I was on my diet. I was not fatigued. I was perfect. Everything. Listen, I lost weight. I was great. If I said I'm running, I
Yeah,
was running. Yeah.
yeah.
Then we started going out. A few weeks ago, I was also on sick leave. So I was in the house for about 3 weeks. Then I went
Mhm.
to the class. The end of the day, my head was paining. I told my cousin, I'm like, yo, I think I forgot how exhausting people are. But I felt like I think I interpreted it as me being so much of a somewhat an introvert that I forget that
Yeah,
people exhaust me.
yeah.
But I get what you're saying. It's those energies that are there. So you
It's
said
the
you work
energy.
with you said you work with teenagers, but before we go to teenagers, I'm more curious about the elderly people, our moms, our dads, most especially our moms, because there's a lot in that reservoir that is not even being
Mm,
shared with anyone. And
mm,
you just
mm.
see this behavior. And to your point, it becomes so genetic. Also, we pick it up and it becomes generational. I wonder if you do
Yeah,
any work specifically with that, because I know that, and I know my mom also used to work in the space, not your space, but in kind of, she's very passionate about saying people need to let it out, especially older people, that they are from an era where being secretive was that, Musadi, you don't talk about your issues starting, and then like you don't do that. But how they felt was in there, because they get sick, they die early. It's a whole lot of things. I'm more passionate about that, and you work with that. If not, then we can talk about teenagers because I have two. I can send
Okay.
them next week.
No, we yeah, send them next week. No, we do work with elderly, and we have done a lot of work with elderly people, those that are approaching retirement, are approaching 65 elderly. And we work with them, and most of the key issues that you find ourselves working with, it's a very uncomfortable topic, but it becomes we've seen that it comes more often, is them cutting the umbilical cord. The cutting of the umbilical cord, it's something that harbors bad emotions on most of elderly people that comes to our sessions. Okay, that they all of a sudden, my kids are not there. All of a sudden, my double-story 6-bedroom, it's empty.
Too
All of
big.
a sudden, I don't know what to do with myself, because I'm starting to see that actually I was saying I'm working for my kids. I'm living for my kids. When I go out with my kids. I do this. Even the marriage will even come to an end because the bond was based on kids, right? Now we we take them through a process of cutting the umbilical cord and really releasing their kids. And really we go back, because you find that most parents, they'll even hide behind parenting. I'm doing this because I'm a parent. Okay. And then we go into that process. So that's something that actually comes more often. The other thing that also comes more often is love. Like, this person is just a relative where we are, right? Because we realize that what brought us together is not even the house anymore. We are old, kids are not there, it's me and him, but I've changed over time. I'm looking at him and I'm saying, I don't even know why he does what he does, right? I don't even know. Then you hear them ask themselves that question. What, really, like this one really was it, so those are the things that we would therefore discuss. And then also the issue of love, to say, how do you then understand it? How do you love your spouse? How do you love your kids? Now that you can't love them through buying them expensive clothes, because now they are working, they're in their places, do you feel like you don't love them anymore because the way you were loving them was through buying things to them? Now we get into that space. And then some of the things that the third thing that we also realize and we do with them is 90% of them that comes to us don't even have what we call a hobby.
Oh.
They are hobby to funerals, weddings, and all that. And therefore, the person, where did you lose yourself? Where is Lindy Way? Lindy Way, 78 years old. Where is Lindy Way? Take them through a process of to fetch the young girl Lindy Way. What is it that you like to do? You like doing? What are we doing? We are trying to make you have a life. Maybe you can start. Maybe you can start going out. Now you're creating a hobby. You're creating something that you love. You are creating a life for you. So those are the things that we do with elderly people. We also do take them to walk, and we also do what we call mindful eating with them, because most of them, their chronic illnesses are based also on the food that they eat, and they've been eating for quite some time. So we also make them go through a mindful eating process to understand that we are saying to them, you're going to be mindful of what you chew, because how you choose says a lot about your childhood. It says a lot. Yeah, no, it was war. Eating was yeah. Um, and
Yeah, because you were eating in one plate and there's three of you. If you don't catch that meat
yeah,
quickly,
no. So we make you chew in a certain way that you feel the texture of the food, the aroma of the food, you understand that food for you is medicine. And then we take you through that. So that's for adult people that we make them fall in love also with themselves, because most of them, they die because of depression, and that will lead to them having chronic illnesses, because all of a sudden they're alone. If there's no wedding, no funerals, nothing, so there's no activity, there's nothing that they can do. I mean, we say to them, maybe do golf, or go out, but I don't know, but maybe start knitting, have a hobby, have something that you do, that you like. But we make them go and fetch the young girl or the young boy that they used to be. And we make them live that unapologetically so. And yeah, and yeah.
Okay. And then
That's,
for teenagers?
all right, for teenagers, it's remember we said you're 99% mind. Okay. And it's hormones, right? Now you all of us, we have we have the hormones, the dopamine hormones, which is a love hormone. It's also, you also find it in drugs. Okay. Now, he is a teenager, they are at the peak of their hormones, and unfortunately their hormones affect their emotions, affect their attitude, affect their character. Therefore, they would end up having a different type of personality. We have parents that says to us, our teenagers are forever moody, or our teenagers uses the line, you guys don't understand us. So what we do is we have teenagers mindful boot camps where we make them understand their own emotions.
Okay.
We make them, why do they go through what they are going through? Because remember, by the 15, that's a 15 years of a reservoir. So we love because we are able to deal with certain emotions at an early age. And therefore, they're able to live a mindful life. They are aware of what's happening around them, in them, and why do they express it the way they're expressing it. Okay. Why all of a sudden when I see a girl as a young boy certain butterflies, why do I feel like that? What does it mean to me? And why do I react the way I react? Why do I have problems with correction when my mom correct me? When we go into those kind of things, and in most cases after the teenage boot camps, we have parents, because we realize that most of the challenges that our teenagers are going through is because of the parent. You're parenting your teenage child how you were parented. And how you were parented was 110% faulty. And you're bringing that graduate of parenting into this child. Let me give you an
Sure.
example. One of the things that we do in our mindful boot camps, we don't allow apologies. We don't apologize. We don't say sorry. We give a room for explanation. We don't say, we don't want sorry. If we say to you, okay, today this, for an example, is washing dishes, and then you are group or you don't do that which you must do, and then we're going to ask you why. We don't want you to say sorry. That's what your teenagers. We don't want you to
I
say I
guess.
apologize. Yeah, that's a quick way of getting out of the issue.
Out of
We
it,
go into
yes.
a session. We go into a session where we're saying to a teenage child, please explain to us, why did you do what you did? And then the moment we get that, then by the time we are done, there's no even need of an apology. Then there's a transformation happening. Okay, you cry, we will ask you a question, why are you crying? And there's no emotions there. Your tears, explain to us, why are you crying? What happened? What is happening right now? Why, when we say do this, you're crying? Why are you crying? What are we doing? Helping them manage their emotions. We are helping them deal with the emotions. And because if they don't, unfortunately, they're going to end up using drugs, because some of the drugs use certain emotions that they're going through. They end up going into they cover themselves. Because of what they're going through. It's a lot of things that they're going through. So that's what we do with our teenagers. It's a no cell phone camp. We
How long?
courses. It's 3 to 5 days. We have one coming 18 to 20 of June. It is from 10 years upwards. It's it's about 1,850. All meals and everything is covered in there. So that's what is coming now in June, 18 to 20 June. So that's what we do with them, and we want leaders. We want our young person to lead in their own space. We want them to embrace who they. We want them to unapologetically say, "This is who I am, and this is how I do things." And how that affect me, and we are being mindful, remember, that affect my surrounding, because I need my surrounding positive space. So we take through that process, and I'm glad to say most teenagers that came to our boot camps, they forever come. It's not a discipline. Don't discipline our kids. We communicate with our kids. We heal them. We don't discipline. We don't reprimand them. We don't shout them. They are human beings. They even call to say, "Ma'am, please, can I have a meeting with you? I want us to discuss. You shouted at me. You need to understand when you were shouting at me. Now they even do that with you." So that's basically what we do. Of course, we take them into nature. We love nature. Nature heals. So they play with all sorts of things in the nature. We teach them everything about nature. It's their land, and that's what we do.
Wow, I'm sending mine soon. Not that I'm saying they're having a problem, but I think it will benefit them. If I look at where I am at my age and how clutter we carry, how much clutter we carry around, I think it will be
Yeah, yeah,
beneficial. I don't see any more
yeah,
questions,
yeah.
but if there are, please pop them in as we wrap up. So I want to know how do people access your boot camps, your coaching? And my second question is, in the meantime, as where I am probably, what can I do to start?
Um, what we usually do is that now we are having online mindful boot camps, which happens once a
Okay,
week. We have three
perfect.
groups. We have a group on Monday, on Wednesday, on Friday. It's for an hour. We do same thing. We do the teaching. We take you through the process of mind relaxation more, because there's a lot that we can't do online. So, but we take you through the process of mind relaxation, understanding certain anxieties, but that's online. And the registration is about 150 per month, and then you have 4 group sessions. You also have one day, you have an hour again a week, one-on-one. After we have a group session. We also have mindful bootcamp weekends. We have a lot coming in June, coming in July and August. But we also appeal to people, because most of the things that we do our mindful bootcamps in Limpopo and Gauteng. But we're saying to people, look, we are everywhere. We can come to where you are. A person will say, look, I'm in PE. And then we say, okay, fine, we can find a place in PE, we can organize people around PE, and then we can come to PE and run it. Usually it will be for 3 days, or we can also do it for 5 days. We also run it in companies also, because we're trying to, companies do what we call team building. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like those things of getting into the buckets and all that, that's not the issue. The issue
Don't do
is the
this to
energy.
us. Don't do this
So,
to us. We love those things.
no, I know you do, but that's just that moment. I still hate you. I still look at you and think you are the best. I still look at my boss, and then my boss looks at me. But there are key things. So what we do is we go into a mindful boot camp. We exchange the team building before you get muddy, and then you wear the different colors. We do that also. But before you do that, we say, we're going to go into certain issues, like issues around procrastination. You have a staff member, they're very good, but they suffer procrastination. For them to be able to produce something else, they'll run around, they'll do this, and you feel pain, because this person is actually very good, but the person suffer procrastination because they don't know that they suffer procrastination. Now, you also have a manager from hell, but we want you to understand, and we want her to understand, every energy and her personality, because at the end of the day, it's about productivity. But it's my energy as a manager that lower productivity. The moment I walk in, then I affect the entire room. So you see, the bucket story won't work there. It is us when we come in unpacking certain things. We also make your senior, your middle management understand certain personalities. Understand that certain people, they do things that they do the way they're doing because there's a childhood trauma. They're dealing with certain things. You have someone else who's dealing with a troubled child or a sick partner. They're going through divorce and they're going through a lot, and they're expected to perform at a high peak at the office, and they're not going to do it because their mind on a lower level, right? And then you're going to take me to say we're going to go for a bride, then we connect. That, and I'm smelling the meat and I'm thinking, you see, like I'm there. So what we do is that we also do our team building. It's around mind. At the last day, you do the bucket, the water, the balloon. At that time, you are now relaxed.
You're
We take you through
relaxed.
your relaxed. We make you, meditate. We make you think. We make you breathe. Because some other people, we have to teach them process of saying you can feel you're getting angry. You can feel it's coming. You're still a client. You're still a patient. Now, at that time, we're going to teach you. Please go to your office, close the door, do the following breathing exercises. That's what we need. Remember, key thing is productivity. It's us working together, coexisting, relating to better our colleagues. So that's also what. So yeah, that's
Okay.
what we're doing.
Okay. No, I'm definitely subscribing, and me, I mean it. I'll probably do the online bootcamp, just so that also I'm able to. There's a lot of responsibilities, obviously, and you just
Yes.
want to ace it, like you were saying. When I know how to access the love, when I ace, I've
Yeah.
also, yeah. So I think that's where I
Yeah.
am. But you know what? I've learned a lot. I think people have learned a lot. I see there's still some people. Just ask your question or help me thank Mphata to be here, for being here today and teaching us about our own minds and how we can access it. Not that we know how. We still need a lot of coaching. We need a lot of hand holding. We need a lot of help because, yeah, we are forever triggered. We are forever living in our own cycles. So we're just in a loop and in a loop and in a cycle, and you can't get out of it. But like you said, because you just don't know, you just attract the same energy. How do we break the cycle and start create a new cycle? How do you rebrand your own genes? Right? So in from where you were, build a new character, build a new personality, build new genes for your own generations. So I don't think it's work that we are well equipped to do. So we need you. We need you. We need you to multiply yourself. But it's in the testimonies as well. So I'll definitely be forwarding your information, but putting it out there, but also volunteering myself to go through it because everybody needs the assistance that we all get. So, can you imagine? It's been an hour and 15 minutes. So, from me, thank you. I don't see any more questions. Are there any bye-byes?
Thank you so
Let me
much.
check so that I don't miss anyone. So, where do we find you? Where do people follow you?
We have Instagram. It's mindful bootcamps. We're on TikTok, mindful bootcamps. You go to Facebook. That's Relay Institute. That's where we advertise our bootcamps. And then you just follow us, and then you'll see the bootcamps that are coming. The bootcamps that are
Yeah.
coming, are coming in July. We're planning a mega one for August for women. Um, it's an appreciation, it's a gratitude camp, because we are not going to cry, because when women are gathered, somehow there's this fetish of saying we are going to cry. We're not going to cry. It's a gratitude camp that's coming, the big camp that's coming in August. I'm just going to be grateful. The fact that I gave back to 3 kids, the fact that I'm alive, the fact that I'm a sister, I'm a mom, I'm a co-worker, I've got friends. I'm just gonna be grateful. And then we're just saying to ladies, bring your girlfriends. Let's have fun. So that's coming
Okay.
in
In
August. We're gonna
August.
we're going to push you to the limit. There will be days where you'll sleep in a lot. There will be days where we give you a tent and say, "Up, go, let's go," and then you pitch up a tent, because it's a gratitude camp, and the moment you say, "Okay, fine, I'm able to pitch a tent, I've slept in a tent," it's like a person who said, "I climbed the Kilimanjaro." So you're gonna push yourself just a little bit. So, but it's coming in August. It's gonna be exciting. We also have a men's session also that's coming in August. We are also planning couples, because we're having couples that are missing each other. Would have a couple that says, "I keep on saying to my spouse, touch me, hold me, kiss me, look at me." It means that this person doesn't see that the robot is saying green, go. It's still waiting. If it's green, he stand. When it's red, he goes. There's a miscommunication here, right? So we would also take where they learn how they love. There are different love languages. So you learn how I love. You also learn, why do I do the things the way I do them. It's not that I'm
Yeah.
well, but maybe I'm going through something. Not even aware that I'm going through that, but you're seeing it because I'm relating to you. So we want people to blossom. Mental health,
Yeah.
ill health is at its peak right now, with the
Mm.
economy in its shape and everything. That also affect cultural landscape, also affect our relationships. So we take couples
Mm.
to a session where we make you understand the person that is your partner. You don't have to be
Yeah.
married. We
Mm.
embrace different school of thoughts. As long as you have a partner and you and your partner agree that we want to relate, we want to be relatable, right? And then we'll take you through that particular session where we make you even understand how you relate, and where did you get the information you have? What is your background? What is your school of thoughts regarding relationships? Who taught you the things that? Why do you do the thing? Why do you kiss and then you take out the tongue? Who told you want you mad? No, you get into that type of.
I just want to be a fly on the wall for that. Watch. Yeah, but thank you so much. People are saying also very interesting. They've learned. Thank you so much. But thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We are definitely probably going to have you back again because
Yes,
we need to hear it again. But thank you
now
for
looking
your
forward.
time and mega support from me. On
Thank
hold
you.
anyway, I will definitely advocate and
Thank you.
push for anything that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, being away. Thank you, 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 thank you. All the thank yous. I'm just reading, speed reading. God bless you.
Thank you.
Also is there. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining and for staying with us for so long. All right. Good
Yes, thank
night.
you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you.